Hello everyone, FunshineX here, and I am back in the ComputerCraft arcade. Dun, 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 dun. It's been a while. This is still working on the third game in the arcade, which is Battleship, Turtle Battleship, and I wanted to let you guys all know the project is not dead. It just went on hiatus for a long time. My playtime has been a little bit limited, and every time that I do get to play, I've got 3 different servers I play on, including the Terra Firma Craft server, Forge Artisans, and Utopia Cubed. And I'm making videos on all those servers and playing all of them, and it's just been trying to juggle, my priorities, which ones I enjoy to play on. And those I was just they're new, they're exciting, but now Artisans is server is now no longer online. I might make that a single player series just to finish off the Power Tower and the prison because I really want to make those complete. I'm still going on Utopia. I'm going to focus on bees and pretty much only bees there. And Terra Firma Craft, getting into a little bit more end game. It's not quite as exciting. It's like, I'm end game and I'm still punching down trees for 5 minutes, to make charcoal. So I'm not sure how far that one's going to go. But you guys haven't really seen all those videos, have you? I think I have probably like 6 more episodes lined up to go to be released. So stay tuned this week. Those will all come out, and you can enjoy Terra Firma Craft. So that brings me, I had extra time to go to the computer arcade, and here I am. I did some coding. So without further ado, let's go look. Here's the server still. I'm going to give a quick update in case you missed the previous videos on what these do. This is the server. It controls everything. It's got a wireless modem, and it's going to control everything. Basically, you'll come in here to start the game. The first thing it's going to do when you start the game, Battleship server, is get you this wonderful splash screen designed by one of my viewers. And you can press through to start, and it's going to give you this nice little status window of all the other computers that are in the system. You've got the 2 players command centers, and then all of the turtles that are going to do the work. The front 2 are the bombing turtles. The other turtles are the building turtles. So it's going to be sitting here waiting for all those turtles to be online, including the command center computers, and those will transmit signals here when they're ready, and this will all turn green, and then it will start the game. When the game starts, the bomber turtle will go ahead and go out and plant himself kind of hovering in the middle of the area, just so he's ready to bomb whatever thing is ready when he gets the orders. I've extended the wireless range of modems via config file, and just to make it easier. After that, the server is going to tell the command centers I am ready for the player to input where he wants his ships built. So bring up the grid, which I've shown before. They'll place the ships, and as soon as they've placed all 5 ships and they're not intersecting or going off the edge, anything like that, it'll say, are you ready? Are you sure? Are you done? Whatever, and you'll hit go, and the 5 turtles here will go out and build the ships. They can get TNT here, they can get white or iron here in case they need it, and they'll go out to build the ships through this window, and they'll come back through this window and line back up in place. Pretty cool, right? That code's not working yet. That's the intention. At least I've got the algorithm down. I know what I want to do with them. I just need to write the server code to tell them to go do it. You can see from these ships the building code is already done. You give it a schematic of the ship you want it to build, and it can build it. So that part's done. I just need the server basically to tell them, go to this coordinate and start building the ship. So let's see what I have changed quite a bit in the meantime. That top monitor is kind of like the status monitor. It'll instruct the player what they need to do. So if they need to be entering the ships, if it's their turn to try and send out a bomb or a torpedo, whatever you want to call it, it'll give them instructions here. And then the top 5 lights, of course, are how many of their ships are sunk. Yeah, so let's start up this program. This is the grid program. And you'll see it's got the 10 squares, just like a Battleship board. And what now I've added is touchscreen capability to the grid. So if I select something out here, nothing really happens. I hope. Could. And I've kind of skipped the server setup, so this automatically goes into place ships mode at the very beginning. I'll show you the code in a second. So the player would be instructed up here, enter where you want your first boat, size 2 to go. and the player would look around here and say, well, I would like it to go right here. And it's going to start and go down. It's going to be blinking because it's not really placed yet. And this sign says confirm. That's a good placement. You can always say, no, I'd rather have it here, or here, or here, wherever you want it. What if you want it rotated? Well, you just click the same spot, and it rotates it. Alright, so you can put it up way up in the corner there. And then if you put it on the side and rotate it, it's going to check and say, oop, that's an invalid placement. You cannot confirm that boat. It'll do the same thing down here. Invalid. So let's go ahead and put our two length boat here and confirm it. The status monitor will say, place your submarine or whatever the 3 length ship is. Let's put it here. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I want it butting up against. Well, that's good, but what if I did this? Oops. That's an invalid state. You can't have boats overlapping, and it knows that. You can have them next to each other. That's good, but they cannot intersect as well. That's also invalid. So they can't overlap or intersect. Let's put it right here. That's again a good placement, so go ahead and confirm. And now we're on our length 4 ship. That is not a good place. This, however, is. Confirm that one. Oops, missed it. You can see it only works if you actually hit the inside the confirm box there. And let's put in, we have the other length 4 ship. Actually, I think it's a length 3 ship. I think I messed up on the length of the ships. I think there should be 2 length 3s. I'll go confirm that, but let's put that one right there. Confirm. And now we've got our carrier. It's huge, so it's tough to find a place for it to go. Again, if it intersects, it won't work. If it completely overlaps or goes out of the screen, it won't work. So let's put it right here. Confirm. And at this point, this message would change to say, or maybe up here would say all 5 ships placed, ready for build, and you would hit confirm again. And off the turtles, you would come out here and see all 5 turtles go out there and build your ships. So that's the next stage of the game is ship building, I believe. I want to get that working next. I could really write and code and play the game entirely on these 2 monitors. I mean, this is not necessary at all, right? There's nothing about this that's necessary, other than it being really, really cool to watch it build the ships and then go blow them up, rather than just looking at this little screen and going, ooh, it turned red. I want to see dynamite explode, right? So as soon as this happened, the turtles would go out and build. It would say, waiting for turtles to complete the building. And then as soon as they're done and they're back in place, they would send a message to the server saying, I'm ready. And this screen would then turn into its other mode, which is the playing mode. All the ships would disappear, and it would say player 1 and, launch a missile. And you would say, okay, I want to launch it here. If it was a hit, you'd get a red square. If it was a miss, you'd get a white square. And then, if you tried to launch that place again, I guess, sucks to be you. You just keep clicking squares, hit or missing, and every time, of course, as you're launching missiles, the bomber on the other side is going and dropping dynamite. And then the other player, similar to you. So I still have a lot of work to do, but I think most of the difficult stuff is now done. If really any of this was difficult to begin with, it was mostly just figuring out what needs to happen and coding it. There's a lot of code. I'm going to go ahead and show you some code, so this video is not super short. I am using an editor called Context. I know a lot of you guys always ask, which editor are you using? I like to use an editor because it's easier than the main window. Why is it doing this? Silly Windows, come on. There, that's good enough. Okay, so up at the top, I've got my, let me make sure you guys can see it. There we go. Just kind of some setup values. So I'm initializing the monitor and the modem of the grid computer and setting its game mode to be nothing. It's in a running state. Which player is it? The channel that the player is going to communicate with the server. This current selected row and column, basically where they clicked. And this current ship is basically like what ship is currently being set up. I might change this later. This was mostly just so I could get the ship setup working. But it's going to say, you're currently setting up the first ship, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Once it gets sixth, there's obviously not a sixth ship, so that means you're done setting up ships. Blink state is just a boolean that goes from false to true every tick, and then you could see that ship that you're placing was blinked from dark gray to light gray every second, so that's how that's controlled. And then every tick also, or every time you place a ship, it's going to see if your ship is valid, and then set it to true, and that means the ship can be placed there. Open channel 1, that's the broadcast channel, and start the game timer, which is the tick timer every 1 second. This is just an array of letters. This is initial ships. Now this is an array of arrays, if you want to call it. And these are the length of the ships. Obviously this could be 3. But what's cool about this is technically I could change the rules of Battleship and add a 6th ship, a 7th ship, and have them different lengths. Pretty easily the way I've done this, which is pretty cool. I like that. So if I wanted, to play a bunch, you get 5 ships that are all length 1. Make it the impossible game, right? I could. But let me put them back to standard Battleship rules. And you can see the first thing is the length of the ship, the second is the X, or the column that it's in, Y or the row. Horizontal and vertical. Vertical is 0, horizontal would be a 1. And then whether the ship has been permanent, it's like permanent, whether it's placed or not. So they start out all zeros. Once they've actually been confirmed their location, that'll switch to 1. Basically that just means, do you want it to be blinking or not? Something like that. Okay, so these are, I think I've shown these before, but this is basically where I take a position on the monitor and where they clicked and convert it to a game coordinate. Basically, if you look in Minecraft, the monitor is, like 70 or 80 wide, I'm not sure, but really I've kind of, broken it down into boxes of kind of 4 by 3. If you can imagine this as a box, this is a box including the border on the right. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3. So I want to know if they click here, that's really the F row or the 6th row, 6th column, excuse me, and the 5th row. And you can see it'll spit that out right here. Well, if it didn't have an error, but I knew that error was going to happen. So this is just some math basically to, add in, subtract some of the buffer that's on the left, find the actual column and see if it's actually a valid column. I mean, it needs to be between 1 and 10, and then it prints it out for me. And so that sets that selected row and the selected column that we'll use later. Convert to game to world coordinates, take those coordinates between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and actually converts them to a position in the world, as if you consider that top square up there to be 0, 0. And then, so that would be 0, 0, and it would go all the way out to 100 and, well, I don't know what these are, these 5 across. So 6 times 10 is 60, 61 maybe all the way to the edge. So that way I can say, so they said bomb E5, but really that's coordinate 30, 30 out in the world coordinates or something like that. Okay. This is where I do the setup ship. Basically when they select a cell, like they say put it at F5 or 5, 5, then it would go first see if the current ship that we're setting up, if its X value and Y value match, that means they're trying to rotate it. That means they clicked on the same coordinate twice. So basically I selected this one and then clicked it again, right? That means rotate it. So I call rotate ship. Otherwise I'll just set the current ship equal to X and current Y, and then check if it's a valid placement. The valid placement's some very lengthy code that I wrote really quickly, and there's probably better algorithms for checking if 2-line segments intersect. But I didn't want to do a lot of math. It was just easier to kind of think about it in my head and write it out the long way. So first thing I need to check is if the ship goes off the edge. So I say, well, if the current ship is horizontal and its x value is greater than 11, or its x value plus its length, 2 is the x, 1 is the length. If that's greater than 11, then I know it's the right side is off the edge of the map. If the opposite is true, if it's a vertical ship and the y coordinate plus its length is greater than 11, then it goes off the bottom. So in both those cases, I return false, meaning this is you can't put the ship there. If it does not go off the edge, so this check doesn't work and it doesn't hit either of those statements, and there's only one ship, then we know it's valid, right? It's in the playing area, it doesn't intersect because it's the only ship. So go ahead and return true. If there's more than one ship, then I've got to check for intersections. So I go from 1 to the current ship minus 1. So let's say current ship is 3, then I'm going to go check ship 3 against ship 1 and ship 2. See if it intersects with either of those. If current ship is 6, meaning all 5 have been placed, then I'm going to check, or current ship is 5, then I'm going to check 5 against 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's why I do this loop here. Then I check if they're both horizontal, so meaning their horizontal value is 1 and 1, and they're on the same y plane. I'm trying to use my hands, and you guys can't see that, obviously. But if they're both horizontal ships and they're on the same row, then I know all I have to check is if they overlap. So that's a really easy check, which I won't explain here. But basically, I just find the minimum x value plus the length has to be greater than the maximum x value to see if they intersect. And I do the same thing on a vertical ship. If they're both vertical ships and they're on the same x plane or the same row, basically, same column, excuse me, then just see if they overlap. If they're not both horizontal or both vertical, meaning one is horizontal and one is vertical, then I have to see if they intersect. And this is pretty easy intersect code because they're perpendicular. If you wanted to calculate with math if two line segments intersect, you have to use some dot product stuff, and that could be crazy to write out in Lua. But because I know they're perpendicular, I really only have to check, well, if the x value is in between the other ship's x, high and low, and the y value is in between the other ships high and low, then then they do intersect. Otherwise, if it's greater or less than or greater, then I can ignore it. So ignore all that code if you don't want to know this, but I'll put this on paste bin once it's done, right? So check if they intersect, return false. If it gets past everything, it means it's fine. The ship is valid. It's a good location. It doesn't intersect, it doesn't overlap, it doesn't go off the edge of the map. It's good. Good ship. Remember we called rotate current ship. If you click the same cell twice, all it does is say, well, if the the value is horizontal, set it to vertical. If it's vertical, set it to horizontal. Pretty easy. Confirm ship is really easy as well. That's when you click on that button. First I check if this selection is valid, is set to true. If it is, then I'll set the current ship's fifth value to 1, and then I'll increment what the current ship is. The only thing I need to do here is check if current ship is 6. That means we're all done, and I can stop doing this, move into the other mode. Draw ship, or draw map. I've showed this before, so I'm going to go really quick. Basically, I write out, I go down to a certain value, write out the row header, do a loop, and then color it either blue or color it light blue based on if it's a square or a border. And there's all this kind of crappy code here. So that draws out, basically just draws what you see on the screen. Just the A through H and then the 1 and all the light blues. The setup only is called when you're in the setup mode, and really all that is doing right now, I might add more, is it's adding that button at the bottom with coloring it either green for confirm or red for invalid. That's all it does right now. And the draw ships basically draws the ships on top of the map, so it's already put the background in with all the grid, and now it's going to actually draw all 5 ships. So it gets the current ship, it gets the X and the Y value. If it is a permanent ship, meaning it's already been placed, then I'm going to do it light gray. Or if blink state is true, then I'll do it light gray. If it's not a permanent ship and blink state is false, then I'll do it in dark gray. So that's how I get the blinking. And that only applies when the ship is not permanent there. Then I'll check if X and Y is greater than 0, because this is what they start out at. If they are still 0 and 0, that means don't draw them, because they haven't been initialized yet. So if they have, then I check for a horizontal ship. It's pretty easy. I set the cursor position to the far left and the top left value, and then I repeat spaces colored in whatever color I chose. This repeat just means generate a string of this length, a string of spaces of this length, and I do that 2 times since it's too tall, right? That goes, from here all the way over, and then the second all the way over. If it's a vertical ship, it's a little bit different. It goes from 1 to the height of the ship, or the length of the ship, sets the cursor position to the top left, and just writes 3 blank spaces. So that's how wide it is. That's pretty easy to draw the ships on the screen. Draw the selected. I might not use this, actually. This was like in a draw where they currently have a selected square. And that's mainly used for not the setup mode, but the gameplay mode. When you say, fire missile here, I might say, draw it selected, and it might blink, and then you confirm that's where you want to launch it. I don't know if that's necessary. I think if it just says player 1, it's your turn, and then they click, and the missile just goes, right? And draw ship status, that is what is going to need to check, which I don't have in yet, but what parts of the ship are damaged. So I've already drawn the ships, but now I can color certain portions red based on where they have hits. And so I need to store not only in the ships array all these values, but I also need to have a kind of an array in here. This wouldn't be too long, right? And this will be, hit or miss, or damaged or undamaged. So I'll put that in soon. Okay, let's go back down. So that's where it will paint them red if they've been hit. Right centered is a really simple function just to write in the center of the screen, right? If you want to write something centered, I always put this in almost every program. And you just say what string you want to write and at what height you want to write it at, and it takes the width of the monitor, divides it by 2, subtracts the width of the message, divided by 2, and then positions of the H. Here's the tick one. Basically, I toggle blink state every second. If game mode is in setup, then I want to draw the map, draw the setup screen, draw the ships, and draw if it's selected or not. Actually, that's not right. Draw setup screen and then draw the ships. If we're playing, then I'll do the map, the ships, the selected top coordinate, and then the status. And then every time your tick calls, you need to restart the timer. Here's the main call. This is where it goes out to the server, but I'm not going to do that yet. Well, I took that out. I just commented it out until I'm ready for the server to be back in. While it's running, which it does forever, until you hit X, where it's running defaults. So it goes in this infinite loop pretty much. It pulls an event. The events it can get is either the timer event, which calls every second and calls the tick function up here, or if you do the monitor touch, which is the touch screen monitor, prints out where they touched on the monitor, converts where they clicked to the game coordinate, and that'll set the selected row and selected column. This just prints out the world coordinate. It doesn't do anything else yet. But that would basically go to the server and say, here's where to go blow up. And I actually might just move this function to the server so that the client can just say, send a missile to A4, and it would convert it. If game mode is set up, then I want to do this, find out if they clicked on a valid screen, so between 1 and 10. If they did, go ahead and set up that new ship, print out a message just for my purposes. If they clicked on the confirm screen, then I'll do the confirm ship, and I actually need to put a check in here. Let's see. And what's the thing? Selection is valid. You gotta see. Watch me code. Hooray! So if they click on the confirm and where is it? Right there. I only want to confirm it if selection is valid. Actually, hold on. Did I put that up in here? Now I'm forgetting. I already did. Never mind. So I don't need that there. So I'll confirm the ship. I haven't put in obviously the other game mode, the playing game mode, what it'll do when you click on things. And then if you click the X key, it clears the monitor and terminates the function. That's pretty much all the code I was going to show today of the grid program. You're welcome to add comments, letting me know what you think. As far as time frame, I'm trying to complete this. I'm giving myself a deadline of, well, I want to do it by the time I hit 5,000 subs. I believe 5,000. Let me go look. What are we at right now? My channel, which is the channel you're viewing, we have 4852. So I have 148 subs to go before I have to have this done. I've been getting about 50 subs a week. No, yeah, 50 subs a week. So I have 3 weeks to get this done, which puts me mid-June, which is good because I'm going on vacation for a lot of July. So I would anticipate anywhere between mid-June, maybe have some betas go out, and then get some bugs fixed, public release in July or the end of June. That's what I'm hoping for. As soon as I get this done, I'm going back to Red vs. Blue. That one's also been on hiatus, and it's a lot more difficult. Balancing it has been crazy difficult. I think I just need to get more playtesters. If you have signed up to be a playtester, that I so apologize I haven't gotten you the map yet. But it's just not ready to play. It had a lot of bugs that kind of hindered the playability when we did the USA vs. Europe game. The results weren't quite accurate. I can say that much. So anyway, this has been FunshineX. Hope you guys like Turtle Battleship in the ComputerCraft arcade. I will see you next time. Goodbye.